What's up everyone, it's TGSF. So in the TGBSV format, story format, I decided I'll start covering interesting and important characters from the book, and this character is especially important as he's thought to possibly be FNAF 3 protagonist, which will be what we'll talk about next video, unless the debate break me to the point I cancel this video and do story of Baby Springtrap instead. But anyway, before I forget, shout out to Cows for guessing Hudson is the what we found Fazbear Fright guard. It totally was my plan all along to never do question of the day until I do a Hudson video, but anyway shout out to you. Next question is, what is phone guy daughter named? Good luck guessing and let's get into the video. Hudson Foster had a decent life until his father committed suicide and his mother remarried with a man named Lewis, who would physically abuse Hudson every time he had a chance, which got Hudson to fail classes, and eventually Hudson became target for bullies. Yes, his life sucked, the teachers constantly yelled at him for falling behind, and at the end of his senior years he got in a fight with Lewis which ended up with him burning his house with Lewis lighter, killing his mom and Lewis. Doing this only made things worse as he was the #1 suspect. He was unable to get a steady job, but one day his two childhood friends Dwayne and Barry convince him to work at Fazbear's Fright before they join the Navy, but Hudson's physical abuse, along with nerve damage done on his leg cause him to fail the physical test, so he instead make working at Fazbear Fright a full-time job. He meet a girl named Faith, who admit to liking him, however after their first date she breaks up with him after he tells her about the fire. This affect Hudson's mental health, as it cause all of his trauma to come back. After work, Hudson visit his granny. She tells him to leave his job, but he refuses since it's the only good job he could get. The granny doesn't explain why Hudson should quit and tell him, your path is your own. Hudson arrives the next day just in time to see Barry and Dwayne carrying a coffin-sized crate into the building. Dwayne explains that whatever's inside was found in a hidden room in one of the pizzerias, and they plan to make a hidden room just for the animatronic. While Barry goes to get a crowbar, Dwayne snaps at Hudson for being afraid of the animatronic parts. Barry tries to get Dwayne to stop, but Hudson storms off and misses the crate being opened. Later, Dwayne explains that it was an old animatronic, and Hudson watches his friends hook it to a wall, but he squints his eyes so all he sees is its white eyes and green eyelids. The night, Hudson decides to face his fear of that animatronics. He runs straight into the lobby but stops dead in his tracks upon looking at the animatronic. It's a greenish-yellow rabbit with torn pieces exposing its endo and reddish material. Hudson touches the reddish material of the animatronics and learns its tissue, and then hears the voice of Mr. Atkin, his algebra teacher. Hudson snap and attacks the animatronics and knock it tooth out. Hudson then tries to move it, but gives up and continues his nightly sweep of the building. In the arcade, he discovers the statues in the dining room impossibly singing and something knocks the nightstick out of his hand as he hallucinates being slammed into a desk by Lewis in his childhood bedroom. Hudson realizes he had slammed his head into an arcade machine and runs back to his office to bandage his head. Once there, he finds that Springtrap is missing. Hudson grabs a hammer and runs to the bathroom to wash the blood off, however he hallucinates bullies dragging him to a toilet and submerging his head. He discovers the toilet is dry and hears laughter. Hudson sees Springtrap poking his head out of a vent and chases after, finding severed heads of several animatronics including a damaged Chica head attached to a shoulder, an arm, and a hand. He gives up and crawls towards an exit, but Chica grabs his foot. Hudson tries kicking her off, but he hears Faith's voice repeating, I like you. Chica grabs his hand, but he exits the vent, slams her against the floor, and kicks her into a pile of animatronic and costume parts which tear her to bits. Hudson grabs a butcher knife and rolling pin from the kitchen and retreats to his office. He realizes he can just leave, but his keys are missing. A large pile of animatronic and costume mouths break through a vent in the ceiling, asking Hudson algebra problems and calling him stupid in Mr. Atkins' voice. They crawl onto his body, one attempting to enter his mouth, but he wets his pants and is left a crying mess rocking and humming on the floor. Hudson eventually stops and goes to get cleaned up. Something grabs his wrist and flings him, breaking his wrist. Hudson hallucinates when Lewis had done the same as punishment for peeing his pants. He sees his knife a few feet away, but also sees the animatronic parts on the wall moving. The closest to Hudson are 3 arms, one holding his nightstick, another holding his hammer, and an unmoving Foxy arm in the middle. He tries sitting, but Foxy's hook finally moves and cuts his back. Hudson looks at his watch and learns his shift ends in 4 hours. Springtrap slowly moves down the hall and speaks with Louis' voice, taunting Hudson just like the real Louis did long ago. Hudson threatens to use his knife, but Springtrap overpowers him and stabs him in his bicep. Hudson runs away and gets bit in his right forearm by a mouth on the wall, but when he looks back the walls are still and Springtrap is gone, with only a bloody butcher knife laying on the ground. His right hand is spattered with blood and he questions if he had slashed himself. Hudson heads toward the gift shop to get towels to cover the wounds. When passing Pirate's Cove, the curtains tear and Springtrap pokes his head out, waving Foxy's arm. Hudson runs but Springtrap doesn't chase after. When he reaches the lobby, he discovers Springtrap hooked up to the wall exactly how Barry and Dwayne had left him. Hudson brushes it off and reaches the gift shop, wrapping a large amount of towels around his arm. He looks for something to break the glass door, but sees movement and backs out. Hudson smells Louis' tobacco and hallucinates when Louis punished him for puking by trapping him in his room using toys. Hudson is thrown across the lobby, breaking his back, and he spots a vent cover swinging. He returns to the gift shop only to find the plushies and action figures guarding the exit. Hudson's pain is too much to bear and he decides to hide. He makes his way to the kitchen and hides in an oven, remembering Granny Foster had always told him, heat purges. Fire heals. Hudson thinks back to when he wrestled a knife from Louis and threatened to tell everyone everything if he touched him again. Louis boasted that they wouldn't believe him and Hudson crawled into the fireplace to hide. This is when he took Louis' lighter and lit the curtains, which spread to the entire house. Hudson barely made it out, but the burns on his legs gave him nerve damage. He hears cracks within the oven and discovers it's been turned on. Hudson tries kicking at the oven door but it doesn't open, and he hears Granny Foster calling his name. He asks her to open the oven, but realizes her voice is coming from within the oven. Hudson begs for help but she only says, "Your path is your path." This is how Hudson's life ends. So yeah, his life sucked. Next video we'll jump in the Fright Guard debate. So yeah, if you like the video, like and subscribe. I mostly post every Friday or Saturday. See y'all next time.